It's a beautiful night for baseball, and live from PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Pittsburgh Pirates in the first of a very important three-game series. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner, along with Oral Hershiser and Omar Garcia-Parra. Why is it important? Well, the Dodgers are tied for first place with the San Francisco Giants. They begin a series 300 miles to the east against the Phillies, and the Pirates are just a game and a half behind the Cardinals and Brewers in the National League Central. Hyun-Jin Ryu gets a start for the Dodgers tonight.
He does, and it is a big start. And this is not just a 1-2 punch as far as the rotation is concerned. You have to have a 3, 4, and a 5, and Ryu has been an amazing 3. This guy has 10 victories. His ERA is a little higher than he would like it, about a half a point higher than last year, but he is now the complete pitcher. Last year, more the fastball, changeup pitcher, but the breaking balls were both working against San Diego in the last outing. 10 strikeouts over those 6 innings. Absolutely amazing outing.
And the Dodgers coming off a very dramatic win last night. What with Adrian Gonzalez, that 2-out single to right, beating the Cardinals 4-3.
Well, we've gotten on the Dodgers saying they need to be better in situational hitting, and the difference between situational hitting and clutch hitting. And yesterday, they were definitely clutch. All 4 of their runs coming with 2 outs. Not only that, it wasn't just one individual knocking in their runs. It was 4 different players coming through. And I always feel that 2-out RBIs can demoralize an opposing team and can boost your team. And hopefully, the Dodgers have some of that momentum coming in, facing a very tough Pirate lineup.
So Hyun-Jin Ryu goes against Edinson Volquez. Volquez, a one-time Dodger, has won 4 in a row and 5 of his last 6. We're going to take a break. When we come back, lineups and first pitch from PNC Park in Pittsburgh. The Dodgers and Pirates get ready to play the first of this 3-game series. And as we come to you from PNC Park at the confluence of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers, the Pirates take the field, and the Dodgers in the first of this 3-game series actually will trot out this lineup put together by Don Mattingly. And it's an interesting lineup to be sure. What with Yasiel Puig setting it out and Hanley Ramirez. So it'll be D. Gordon leading off at second base, and then Justin Turner. Adrian Gonzalez at first base, Matt Kemp in right, Andre Ethier in center field, Carl Crawford in left. Uribe is at third base. Justin Turner, by the way, is at shortstop. A.J. Ellis, the catcher. Hyun-Jin Ryu pitching and batting ninth. The Dodgers are going to be facing 31-year-old right-hander Edinson Volquez, who was with the Dodgers for a month or two last year, having a very solid season, making his 19th start with the Pirates. He has won 4 in a row and 5 of his last 6.
Yeah, not only that, coming off a complete game in his last outing where he only gave up 1 run and 6 hits over the course of those 9 innings. He'll come at you with a fastball that can get from the lower 90s to mid 90s. He's got a good curveball that acts more like a slurve, and then a nice changeup that has a tendency to fall away from left-handed batters and into right-handers where they get on top and hit a lot of ground balls. When he gets in trouble, it's usually with his command, so see if he's throwing strikes early.
The Pirates are involved in the closest race in the major leagues this season. Milwaukee and St. Louis share the lead in the National League Central. The Bucks a game and a half behind them. Cincinnati 2.5 off the pace. And of course the Dodgers and Giants, they are tied for first place in the National League Western Division. The Giants and the Phillies have at it, just about getting underway now in Philadelphia. First of a 3-game series there. And of course this weekend it'll be the Dodgers and the Giants in San Francisco. So we're getting ready to play, and D. Gordon is stepping in. Dodgers with the emotional win last night. Hanley Ramirez paying dearly for it. Got hit by 2 pitches. His hand is okay. Had x-rays before the game today. He's going to sit it out. Might, long shot, be the possibility of a pinch hitter later in the game. Puig sitting it out. He's got that bruised hand as well. And we are ready to go from PNC Park in Pittsburgh. And the first pitch from Volquez is high and away. 1 ball and no strikes. Gordon at 296 with 110 base hits. D is second in the National League in base hits. He also leads the league in triples, has 32 infield hits, and leads the league with 44 stolen bases, and quickly gets ahead in the count. 2 balls and no strikes.
D already showing what a good leadoff hitter he has become, making Volquez throw strikes, building the count to 2-0 for Mr. Mattingly and the ball club.
Turner on deck and Gonzalez to follow. Interesting story for the Dodgers tonight that we'll be following will be their outfield, with Carl Crawford in left, Andre Ethier in center, and Matt Kemp playing in right. There's Matt. Of course, came up with the Dodgers primarily as a right fielder, would eventually move to center. Spent most of his time this year in left. Crawford playing in left, so there's some shuffling of the deck tonight. Gordon takes a strike, and it's 2-2. And with Hanley Ramirez sideline, it is Justin Turner who's on deck, getting the rare start at shortstop. Just underway. And the 2-2. Ball strike 3. So Volquez fell behind 2-0, and he strikes out Gordon.
The Dodgers have been getting used to seeing some running, moving fastballs. Joe Kelly, Lance Lynn, and now Volquez with this comeback two-seamer that just catches the edge there. Maybe doesn't even catch it, but it was working its way back like the pitch before that, and he got the call.
Dodgers were struck out 10 times last night by Cardinal pitching. Now Turner stepping in. He's fresh off the disabled list. He had that hamstring issue. Justin at 298. And he swings and misses, nothing in 1.
On that pitch right there, you can really see the movement on his fastball there. So that's what's, if he has that same movement throughout the entire game, and he also has tremendous movement on his changeup as well, it's going to be a tough night for the Dodgers.
Turner making his 4th start at shortstop and his 8th start batting second. And Volquez quickly ahead. It's 0-2. Adrian Gonzalez is on deck. One ball, 2 strikes.
Volquez has done really well here in Pittsburgh under Ray Searage, their pitching coach. He's really gotten him to calm down emotionally, and a lot of his innings are about melting down, where he starts to lose his release point and can't get back on the beam.
2 up, 2 down, 2 strikeouts for Volquez.
You really can't control the ball until you can control yourself. You control your mind then controls your body, and your body controls the ball. And right now he is around the plate with an awful lot of movement. You see the delivery where he hides the ball real well, and the arm speed was exceptional, even though that was a changeup.
Volquez turned 31 a couple of weeks ago. And here's Adrian Gonzalez, last night's hitting hero, with a single to right in the 9th inning. He would plate the pinch runner, Miguel Rojas, as the Dodgers came away with a win from St. Louis. Last night was the 100th game of the season, so including tonight, 62 remain. And the Dodgers and Giants will have at one another this weekend in San Francisco. Gonzalez, with his 61st RBI last night, is 4th in the National League in driving in runs. Kershaw, another big night last night. Van Slyke, his old man, broke into the major leagues here in Pittsburgh. And Kershaw, boy, he won a lot more friends, and the friendships drew much closer last night after he plunked Matt Holliday after Hanley Ramirez got hit by a pitch.
Gained some clubhouse and leadership equity, and he especially did it with respect around the league also.
It was an emotional win for the Dodgers last night. No getting around that. Two and 1 to Adrian Gonzalez.
It's the kind of win last night for me that really kind of put a cement bottom and a place to launch from for the offense. They didn't have an explosion, but the 2 out base hits really kept them from spiraling out of control in the beginning of this road trip as far as the win and the loss column. And then the offense saying that, you know, we can come through even if we don't put up the big crooked numbers. We can still come through in the clutch.
And you really didn't want to, I don't want to get swept by the Cardinals, but also you didn't want to lose when you had Greinke and Kershaw on the hill for you.
And tonight it is Ryu's turn to pitch. So it was a big win for the Dodgers. Maintained a share of first place with San Francisco. Should the Cardinals and the Dodgers meet in the postseason, the Dodgers will have home field advantage as a result of that win last night. That one is drilled to right field, and it is high off that 21-foot wall. The throw to second base, and Gonzalez just does beat it. So Adrian Gonzalez, with the big hit last night, begins the Dodgers offense with a 2-out double here in the first.
Well, Adrian Gonzalez yesterday did an unbelievable job facing Rosenthal. Got a fastball, gets the barrel out in front, was able to turn on it for a big base hit. And once again here, a fastball on Volquez. Even after fouling off one in his earlier at bat, gets the head out there early and then drives it to right field.
Looked like Adrian, being the smart hitter he is, also saw the comeback fastballs and the way he pitched D. Gordon, the other lefty.
Well, they're going to have a replay on the play at second base. Home plate umpire Jeff Nelson. Laz Diaz, the second base umpire, who made the call.
That's what you were talking about right there, Carl. And I mean, the way this was played out there by Martinez, gets it in quick. I'm wondering if he gets that front foot in there before he gets tagged on the back foot. I think he gets that foot in there first.
Looks that way.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I don't even know if he really even touches him.
They're showing it on the scoreboard here.
Not tough.
If he gets his left thigh and not waiting for the glove to get all the way down to the right foot, maybe they've got an argument.
Here, let's see right here.
That's the part right there, that beginning of the tag.
You can't, from that angle, you can't tell if he was tagged there or not.
And so the crew chief, Jeff Nelson, and Laz Diaz, the second base umpire who made the call, are getting a good long listen from the umpires back in New York who are watching the same replay that you've just seen. It was a well-struck line drive off the bat of Gonzalez. If he survives the challenge, it will be his 22nd double of the year. Clint Hurdle can only look on after making the appeal. Michael Martinez, a recent pickup, played a bit with the Phillies, but by and large has been a lifelong minor leaguer. Well, what do you think?
The glove goes by the left leg early enough, soon enough before Adrian's left leg touches the base, but does it really touch the leg? I don't think there's any question that if the tag is only on the right foot tucked under, that it's too late.
And the answer is safe. So Gonzalez with the 2-out double. It took a while to get there.
You're talking about his running or the call?
It took a while to get there.
Both equally.
It was a good piece of hitting. You watched D. Gordon get some fastballs in, the two-seamer in there, and he sat on it. When he got one in there, he expected it and turned on it.
Now Matt Kemp coming up. Kemp at 268. But he has been struggling offensively. Two for 9 in St. Louis. And he's been striking out a bundle lately. Outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
Volquez's got a couple different weapons that he'll probably attack Matt with if he's been watching the video lately of what Matt's been doing. The breaking ball that he has is kind of a sweeper that'll go away from Matt. He'll have to lay off of that. And then he's got the running fastball that'll look like it's down the middle and can go in and jam him. So he's going to have to be on his toes.
Gonzalez a short lead at second.
Used both pitches already. The breaking ball away for a ball. Now ran the fastball in for a ball. Neither one for a strike, but showing the two weapons that he'll probably try and use to get him out.
Edinson Volquez, he's 31. Made 5 starts with the Dodgers last year. Has pitched for Texas and Cincinnati, San Diego, the Dodgers, and now the Pirates. 3 balls and no strikes. On the year, Volquez has struck out 73, walked 37. Opposing hitters hitting .238 against him.
Here in the 3-0 count, I'll let him swing away. If he thinks he can get a pitch he can handle, go ahead and let it fly.
Volquez steps off the rubber instead. Volquez was picked up by Cincinnati from Texas in 2007 for Josh Hamilton. High and inside, ball 4. So the Dodgers mount a 2-out rally here with the double by Gonzalez and the Kemp walk, and Ethier's coming up. Ethier last night was 2 for 4.
A 2-out knock there, got an RBI. One of those was a huge hit up the middle.
So again, talking about situational hitting, the Dodgers' ability to hit in the clutch or lack of same has been quite a telling story this year. Side and high, 1 ball, no strikes. On the year, the Dodgers are hitting .273 with runners in scoring position. Ethier .275 with runners in scoring position, a little bit better than his overall average. So it's 2 balls and no strikes. Volquez strikes out Gordon and Turner relatively easily. And the Gonzalez double. He walks Kemp and falls behind Ethier 2-0. So he got off to an easy start in the first inning, and the next pitch will be his 22nd. The Pirates at 32-20 have the best home record in the National League. Grounded to first. Bobbled. Volquez there to receive the toss from Sanchez, and that'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 left. Dodgers fail to score in the top of the first. Now Ryu getting ready for his 20th start of the year. First winning season last year in 20 years, and the turnaround launched by Clint Hurdle. And here's the lineup that he has put together, beginning with Josh Harrison, who's basically taken over at third base. Pedro Alvarez is lost in space. Marte and McCutchen. McCutchen, one of the best all-around players in the game, in center. Sanchez and Walker, Pittsburgh native Neil Walker. Russell Martin, one-time catcher of the Dodgers. Jody Mercer's been on a hot streak in short. Michael Martinez, you saw him defensively in the top half of the first. Edinson Volquez pitching and batting ninth. Injin Ryu making his 19th start of the year.
And he is on a personal challenge to get his ERA down. He's a winning pitcher. He's a great number 3 on this club, but personally he wants to be better. The strikeouts have been better this year. The walks are down, but the hits per inning are slightly up. And Ryu has challenged himself to be better this second half.
First 6 road starts of the year, he was lights out, 5-0 and an ERA of under 1. His last 3 road starts, however, not so good. 1 and 2, an ERA of over 7.5. And Josh Harrison, who has been just a wonderful story for the Pirates. A utility man who basically said, hey, I can play every day, and Clint Hurdle, who's to argue? Harrison has 7 hits and 17 at-bats against the Dodgers this year. Starling Marte is on deck. 1 and 2. Harrison, who never thought he'd be an all-star coming into this season. He was hoping just to get some playing time. Played the final 3 innings of the all-star game last Tuesday. Another big crowd. For years they couldn't draw in Pittsburgh, primarily because they couldn't win. But it's a whole new generation here with Clint Hurdle at the helm.
Yeah, not drawing has nothing to do with this ballpark, because this is one of the prettiest, scenic, most beautiful ballparks in all of baseball.
And the Dodgers will be going to AT&T Park after this. 2 of the best. Ryu on 1 and 2, just under the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Move from a utility player to an everyday player. You have to continually watch guys to see if the league finds the holes in their game. The utility players have some of the best ability, but
Uribe with an easy hop and an easy toss. Harrison's retired, 1 out and nobody on in the bottom of the first.
The game is about consistency, and Harrison has been that so far with the everyday job.
So Ryu off to a good start. Starling Marte stepping in. Marte at 258. Marte, a scary moment on Friday, hit in the head by a pitch. Out on Saturday. Pinch hit yesterday. 1 ball and no strikes. In his last 18 games here at home, Marte's got a hit in 14 of those games. Very fast runner. He's got 21 stolen bases. Into center, and it is Ethier making the catch, ironically, in front of Matt Kemp, who's playing in right tonight. There's 2 outs. So Matt Kemp, who came up as a right fielder with the Dodgers, then became a center fielder, and then he became a left fielder, seemingly never to return to center field again. Well, he played center field for an inning or 2 the other day in St. Louis. Now he's back in right field, and so a curious threesome tonight in the outfield for the Dodgers. There's Kemp in right. It was Ethier who made the catch. There's 2 out, and here is Andrew McCutchen.
I think it's safe to say with Matt Kemp, just follow the media guide, outfielder. How's that sound?
OF.
Yeah.
One of the best all-around players in the game in the face of this franchise, Andrew McCutchen. 1 ball, 1 strike. McCutchen at 320 is the 2nd leading hitter in the league. He's 3rd in the league with 117 base hits. 4th in the league with 28 doubles. 2nd in the league, a .418 on base percentage. And he's one of these guys who just loves coming to work every day.
And he has the label of "don't let him beat you" all over him for this 3-game series for the Dodgers. Let the other 7 hitters and 1 pitcher be the offense.
Ryu takes care of him and strikes him out and retires the Pirates in order. Nothing across. Carl Crawford, Juan Uribe, and A.J. Ellis will bat for the Dodgers in the 2nd. Pittsburgh, boy, it's come a long way, as have their Pirates. And on this Monday night, where Allegheny, Monongahela, and The Ohio rivers converge. Once a year, you can come to town and use the word confluence in a sentence and not force it in. Edinson Volquez and Hyun-Jin Ryu scoreless as we go to the second in San Francisco. Actually, in Philadelphia, the Giants and Phillies are scoreless in the top half of the second. Ryan Vogelsong against Cliff Lee. Lee back from a stint of time on the disabled list. So here's Crawford leading it off in the second, and he takes a strike, 0-1. Crawford at .255 with 4 home runs and 19 runs batted in. Crawford also recently off the DL. That badly sprained ankle. Volquez ahead, 0-2. Uribe on deck, and then it'll be A.J. Ellis. Volquez, an easy play. First out of the second.
In Philadelphia in that Cliff Lee game, I'm sure there are a lot of scouts right behind home plate watching him pitch with the chance that he might be moved from Philadelphia. Trade deadline looming.
Well, the Phillies had a heck of a run, but their race has been running. Ryan Howard not getting any younger. Chase Utley not getting any younger. Cliff Lee not getting any younger. And their payroll not getting any smaller. Uribe the hitter. This ball outside, 1 ball, no strikes. The Phillies are 12 games under 500 and 11 games behind the first place Washington Nationals and the Atlanta Braves. A lot of great races around Major League Baseball this year. Uribe takes a strike. The Central Division is a tie for first place. The Pirates a 1.5 games back. The Reds 2.5 back. Washington and Atlanta tied for first in the National League East. Giants and Dodgers are tied for first in the National League West. So you've got battles for first place and serious wild card possibilities in the National League. So with 62 games left, every game more than ever counts for the Dodgers.
Yeah, this game and the rest of this road trip are huge. You don't want to overlook the Pirates just because the Giants are coming up right on the horizon. But you also only winning 1 game per city would not be real good at the end of the road trip to look up and
drilled to right, and Martinez is there.
With the speed in this outfield, you need to hit it off the wall to have it fall in. These are 3 really good defenders.
Martinez in right. Andrew McCutchen, one of the game's best in center. Starling Marte is in left. However, the Bucks have made 70 errors this year. It ranks them 14th out of the 15 teams in the National League. A.J. Ellis with that big double last night in the 9th inning in St. Louis. Rojas would pinch run for him and score on the Gonzalez hit. A.J. takes a strike, 0-1. For the Dodgers, 24 of their next 27 games come against teams with records over 500. So this is the most difficult time of the year, at least in terms of opponents. After the Pirates, Dodgers go to San Francisco, then the Braves come in. Cubs will come in for 3. Dodgers will play 4 with the Angels, 3 with Milwaukee, 4 more in Atlanta, then to Milwaukee. So for the next 3 weeks. Oh! Just looking at Volquez looking down, and he's telling AJ, I'm sorry. Nancy Patterson Flynn is going to go out and make sure AJ is okay.
I mean, that's checking on him because that was a breaking ball. Just a curveball, didn't do much, and AJ was trying to get out of the way, and it kind of just broke in right into his helmet. And AJ right there saying right away, I'm okay. And as he was going down the first base line too, Edinson Volquez came over to check to make sure he was okay.
Well, the Dodgers have been getting hit a lot lately, intentionally or otherwise.
This is definitely unintentional, and AJ does a good job turning away from it. Nomar, you would know better as a right-handed hitter. Does he lose the ball a little bit? He started to get out of the way.
Well, you're trying to turn your back. You're trying to get if it hits you, your back to get it. And also, luckily, that's where your ear flap is right there. You saw that. So he was turning his head. Oftentimes it's more with a fastball that's running in because you're trying to open up and catch it. That's where you end up turning the opposite way and leave the front part of your body exposed. But with that breaking ball, at least he was able to turn enough and be okay.
Don't you think he was ducking because he thought it was a fastball up and in, and then he ducks right into it because it's a curveball?
No, I think he was it was a ball at him and he was ducking. You know, it just happened to break into him.
Ryu, a very good hitter, takes a strike, 0-1. Of course, Hanley Ramirez, he's out tonight, having been hit twice last night by the Cardinals. This, of course, a year ago in the NLCS. He had his rib broken by Cardinal pitcher. Neil Walker out at second base. Terrific play by Walker, knowing full well A.J. Ellis was running, and A.J. not the fleetest of now Mattingly wants to make sure, was it really an out? So he's going to go out and chat with Lance Diaz. And apparently, thanks, but no thanks. End of the inning, no runs, no hits, one man left, no scores. We go to the bottom of the second. Hit in the bottom of the second in this scoreless affair. Join us for the next episode of Backstage Dodgers as we take an inside look at Dee Gordon as he shares his first All-Star experience with his dad and three-time All-Star Tom Flash Gordon. Don't miss a new episode of Backstage Dodgers on Thursday at 7 o'clock right here on Sportsnet LA. In Philadelphia tonight in the second inning, Gregor Blanco with a single to right scores Pablo Sandoval. And the Giants take a 1-0 lead off Cliff Lee. We'll keep you updated on that one. Ryu retired the side in order in the first inning, needing but 13 pitches to do so, striking out Andrew McCutchen on 3 pitches. Here's Gabby Sanchez. Sanchez at 239, the one-time Marlin.
You notice Gabby Sanchez come there having his hand out for timeout right there. That's the third batter so far out of the 4 that Pirates have had where they've had to call timeout while Ryu is ready to pitch.
And they are doing it above and beyond trying to mess up his timing. Any particular reason?
Well, Ryu is being very quick. He gets back on the mound and he's ready to start. He's on there. He's like getting the sign and going. And I think that's why they're calling timeout, because it kind of reminds me of what Burley does. Burley gets on there, grabs the ball, and is ready to go.
On 0-2. Sanchez and Ike Davis spend a lot of time at first base. Davis, left-handed hitter. Sanchez, the right-hander. And Ryu has struck out 2 so far. First out of the second.
He had 10 against San Diego, and he had the really good breaking ball going that day. And again, there's the slider. The slider and the curveball were getting a lot of punch-outs in his last outing. And that was a revenge outing because he had come off a terrible outing against the Tigers. He only went like 2 1/3, 10 hits. It was his worst outing of the year. So he responded in a big way.
Neil Walker, base hit to right. So the native Pittsburgher, first pitch he sees, bangs it into right field.
Oh, Neil Walker probably going, okay, I see the 2 guys before me just strike out against Ryu. I don't want to get behind in the count. If I get a pitch I can handle, I'm going to start hacking, and goes the other way with it.
First base runner of the game. And here's a familiar face, Russell Martin. Russell and AJ go back a long time as they came up in the Dodger organization. Martin having a solid season. Came up with the Dodgers in 2006. Takes a strike, 0-1. Left the Dodgers via free agency, went to the Yankees for a couple of years in 2011 and 12, and now in his second season with the Bucks. Martin, a 3-time All-Star.
He's always been a guy that seemed like he was a winning piece. That he grinds it out when he's struggling. He's not giving up. He sends off the right vibe to the pitching staff, even if he's slumping with the bat. And he's learned to become a better and a more productive hitter and a clutch hitter.
Gold Glove winner with the Dodgers in 2007. And so he is down on strikes. Third strikeout for Ryu. And at this point, even with the Walker hit to right, Ryu seems to be cruising right along.
Hitting the spots, and he's got really good movement tonight. Late, sharp movement right there on that slider. If he has that pitch and the fastball away and the fastball in, he starts to look a lot like Kershaw, because that's the pitch that Kershaw has really improved on, that hard slider.
Here's the red hot Jordy Mercer.
That last pitch that I saw right there to get Martin on, that slider didn't have a hump in it. It didn't go up above his hand when he released it. It was staying, it started off from his hand when the release and stayed on the same plane and just kept going down.
Mercer has 7 hits in his last 19 at-bats against the Dodgers. Had a walk-off hit against the Rockies on Saturday. In sweeping Colorado here over the weekend, Pirates won all 3 games coming from behind. And Mercer at home in his last 9 games is hitting .500. He's 14 for 28 in his last 9 at PNC and has enjoyed the month of July immensely. Into right field, kept going back, and at the wall he makes the catch, and that ends the inning. Well struck by Mercer. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. When we come back at the top of the 3rd, it'll be Gordon and Turner and Gonzalez coming up.
Inside PNC Park, we make our way to the top of the third inning. D. Gordon, Justin Turner, and Adrian Gonzalez due up for the Dodgers in the top half of the inning. And Scott Van Slyke not in the starting lineup today for the Dodgers, but he figures to get some playing time in this three-game set. And it'll be the first time in his professional career he has ever played in Pittsburgh. Of course, his father, Andy Van Slyke, played for the Pirates from 1987 to 94. And Scott Van Slyke is having a good year for the Dodgers. 63 games, a .259 average, 8 home runs. He's absolutely killing left-handed pitching, 16 RBIs, 33 starts this season, 15 at center field. Of course, he's a versatile guy, one of 8 different father-son combinations to play for either the Pirates or the Dodgers, guys.
Well, Andy Van Slyke, of course, began his career with the Pirates, ended his career with the Cardinals. Scott grew up in St. Louis. Look at that. Oh, didn't let the beard get in the way, did he? Gordon fouls it off his foot. So it's been kind of a homecoming week for Scott Van Slyke, going to St. Louis where he grew up. And his dad, of course, began his career and played with those great Pirates teams. Bonds and Bonilla. To the right side. Look at Neil Walker, but he's not going to get the speedy D. Gordon. So Gordon now with 33 infield hits, more than anybody in the game.
Well, D. Gordon is so short to the ball. I was impressed how he even got to this ball because there was a lot of movement. It was down in the zone. He puts the barrel on it. He gets down the line. It was such a nice play out there by the second base. But look where that ball was going. It was going down in the zone. He's able to make contact. And being from the left side and that speed, all those things, he's now standing at first base, and he's going to be studying Volquez to see if he can get a good jump so he can go.
So Gordon with an infield hit yesterday. Gordon now has 111 hits. And basically, nearly a third of them infield hits. And D with 44 stolen bases. More than anybody else. But Russell Martin's done a very good job this year in throwing out would-be base stealers. 15 out of 47. Martin, an outstanding athlete. Turner struck out in his first at-bat. So as a base runner, there's Clint Hurdle. Nomar, as a base runner, what exactly is Gordon looking at and trying to size up Edinson Volquez?
Well, that last one, he saw Edison had a short stride to home plate, almost like a slide step. He's also looking to see if it's going to be the front knee or the front heel he's going to key off to get his jump, or if there's something else that might be triggering it, whether it's his shoulders. And that right there is also very telling that he was able to get a throwback over to first, but not just a lob over there just to get you back, but he was actually trying to pick him off. Now he noticed whether he buckles that front knee to try to do that, to see if that's, like, I call that the balk move, to see if he's going to try to pick him off. If that wasn't, that means he can eliminate that as a balk move, maybe key off that. So there's a lot of things that are going through your mind to try to find out a key to get that jump.
Up the middle, Neil Walker makes a terrific play to keep the ball in the infield. That's a third play by Walker. So Turner is at first base now. Gordon forced out.
The ball goes by you as a pitcher and it goes up the middle. You have a tendency to think this is going to center field. So you really appreciate when your second baseman has that kind of range to his left and to his right.
Not only was it a tremendous play to get the out, but it was a tremendous play to get the lead runner, and now you're able to get D. Gordon off the bases.
Now Adrian Gonzalez, who doubled off the wall in right in his first at-bat. We're scoreless with 1 out in the top half of the third. So Gonzalez with the game-winning single in the 9th last night begins the affair tonight with a double to right. Adrian continued to struggle, at least by his standards, a .294 career hitter. Adrian at the moment is at .252, and Volquez has 43 pitches spent already. Kemp, who walked in his first at bat, is next.
There was a time when people didn't pitch Adrian up, but the league has started to pitch him up a little bit more and hard. Or up and away used to be one of his sweet spots, to take and power the ball to left center, but lately the league has been trying to go kind of up the ladder on him. It's a pitch that he's going to have to make some adjustments to.
So far he's done a good job laying off that pitch. His last two pitches were kind of that borderline high strike zone.
That one underneath. And a 4-pitch walk, second walk given up by Volquez. And Kemp coming up with a chance to give the Dodgers an early lead. Kemp batting cleanup tonight.
See, for Matt Kemp, now you just saw the batter in front of you walk on 4 pitches. But I'm not saying you take here. I'm saying you're still looking. You got a runner in scoring position. You're a guy who's supposed to be driving in the runs, but you really keyhole it. You say, okay, one spot, the one that I know I can catch up to, or that I can really drive, is when I'm going to let it fly. Other than that, I'm going to have to let it go.
Turner at second, Gonzalez at first. One outside. Volquez struck out the first 2 batters of the game, Gordon and Turner. And then he'd huff and puff through the end of the first inning. A double for Gonzalez, a walk to Kemp. Ethier would ground out. Second inning, hit a batter. And here in the third, first and second, one out, including the second walk of the game.
The table is set a little bit earlier compared to the other 2 innings, and Volquez has been erratic. He's had some hot streaks of 10 to 15 pitches where he really looks locked in, and then all of a sudden he looks just lost out there where he is trying to find it.
Next pitch is 48. One and one to Kemp. Whacked into left field for a base hit, and that's going to roll to the corner. Scoring easily is Turner. Gonzalez will be held at third, and Kemp is at second with a run-producing double, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. For Matt Kemp, his 37th run batted in of the year.
Well, he does a good job getting his body going on this fastball so he can get that barrel out. We talked about Volquez's fastball has a nice tail into the right-handed batters. And with Matt Kemp, who knows his strengths right center, oftentimes he'll try to really force it over there, but did an excellent job. And with that run, I'm running on his fastball. I'm not going to force it. I'm going to get the barrel out in front, and he pulled it down the line.
So the Dodgers with the early lead, and they've got second and third and just one man out as Andre Ethier's coming up. Ethier bounced to first in his first at-bat and is just fouled. So again, part of what we were talking about at the beginning of the broadcast, Omar, the Dodgers and their inability or ability, depending on how things have gone of late, to hit with runners in scoring position.
Well, right. And when I said there's a difference between situational and clutch, well, clutch with 2 outs, they're getting that RBI, they're knocking like they did yesterday. But right here, it's situational. You got the defense back, they're giving you another run playing back. Think about driving the ball there, even if it's a ground ball, to get that run in.
To shortstop. That'll get the run in. Mercer throws out Ethier. Gonzalez comes in to score, and the Dodgers take a 2-0 lead. Mission accomplished.
And that's what they need more of. when they're given that, and you look at the defense, if that's what the team's going to give you, you don't try to do too much. Can't strike out in that situation, which they've been doing way too often this year in those situations. Put the ball in play, put it to where the defense is playing you, and something good comes of it.
Dodgers with a 2-0 lead. Kemp is at third with 2 gone. And Carl Crawford coming up. Crawford bounced to the pitcher in his first at bat. Takes a strike, 0-1. The Dodgers this year, when they score first, are 30 games over 500, 45-15. The Pirates, when the opponents score first, lose 2/3 of the time, 17-33. So recent history suggests the Dodgers are in pretty good shape beside a 2-0 lead. 0-2 to Crawford. Uribe is on deck. Kemp the short lead at third. The Phillies have come up with a couple of runs in the bottom of the second against Ryan Vogelsong and lead the Giants 2-1. Jimmy Rollins singled in 2. Crawford down on strikes. Third strikeout for Fulton. Matt Kemp doubles in Justin Turner for the first of 2 runs for the Dodgers in the top of the third. Ryu's got a 2-run lead to work with as we go to the bottom half of the third. Announcer in sports history for any sports franchise. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance at Dodger Stadium, and you can take home a Vin Scully 65th anniversary microphone. Compliments of Farmer John. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Michael Martinez leads it off for the Phillies. Came from the Phillies. He's 31 years of age and has been kicking around for about a decade, and most of the time at the minor league level. Phillies, by the way, a 2-1 lead over the Giants. They're playing in the third inning, about 300 miles to the east of here. Martinez at AAA this year is hitting .252 when he was called up. Over the course of his career, Martinez has played second base, third base, shortstop, and all 3 outfield positions. Easy hop for one, Uribe. One out in the bottom of the third.
A big inning for Ryu and a nice out right there to keep the momentum, something that he can capture for the Dodgers after the nice sweep preventing win last night, to have a lead here in Pittsburgh to start this series and be on the mound and have a good shutdown inning right here.
Got the sense last night it was more than just a win. It was one of those games. It was hard fought. Now the Cardinals have become a legitimate rival in what with recent history, and the real recent history with Dodger hitters getting plunked, and then to come up with that run in the ninth against Rosenthal. Gonzalez will take it by himself. Volquez easily retired, 2 out and nobody on. And anecdotally speaking, there's Hanley. Had his hand looked at again today. Another X-ray. It's okay. First, he got hit in the shoulder last night. And that was head high. And then he get in the hand. Of course, that was the same team that broke his rib in the National League Championship Series last night. So to be able to win in the fashion that they did was a mood lifter, to be sure. And so they came into Pittsburgh, and the Pirates, a very good team, just a game and a half behind the Cardinals and Brewers in the Central Division, with a glide in their stride, albeit it was at 5 o'clock in the morning when they got to bed after the Sunday night game. And Kershaw, another big performance last night, although he didn't get the win. What was nice about who got the win last night, J.P. Howell finally got a W.
He has definitely been a very valuable piece, but hasn't had much in the W column. There's J.P. right there.
Faced one batter, 7 pitches, and got a win.
And the hair's not slicked back out of celebration for the victory. That's a daily occurrence.
That's by his own choosing.
Yes. The thing about that victory, not only to avoid the sweep, and it's against the Cardinals and it's home field advantage in the playoffs, but there's a tradition in St. Louis that seems to be continuing with Mike Matheny, carried on from Tony La Russa's culture, and that is almost a 2-for-1 ratio when it comes to people getting hit. And I think it's always important to stand up to that. We can have a perception of having great talent and being a very strong team, but sometimes you can be perceived as soft and uncompetitive if you don't respond to those moments. And the big fella on the mound responded in the very professional way.
Just like that.
And without hesitation. And that was so impressive. And I think that goes on why that win yesterday, as you were talking about, Charlie, was so good, because of all those factors.
And the fact that he's right next to Clayton Kershaw, I don't think that's a surprise.
Harrison has struck out. 4 strikeouts now for Ryu. And the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead as we head to the 4th.
is brought to you by the Ram 1500. Motor Trend's 2014 Truck of the Year and first ever back-to-back champion.
Dodgers with a 2-0 lead as we head to the top half of the fourth inning in Philadelphia. The Giants have just come up with a couple of runs in the top half of the third off Cliff Lee. Buster Posey, a 2-run single, and the Giants have retaken the lead from the Phillies 3-2. Giants and Dodgers, of course, in a virtual tie in the National League West. Pirates, of course, just a game and a half behind Milwaukee and St. Louis. 2.5 games separate Milwaukee, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati in the Central Division. Juan Uribe takes a strike, and the fourth inning is underway. Uribe flying to right in his first at-bat. In the hole and into left for a base hit. Past a diving Josh Harrison. So the Dodgers with a leadoff runner here in the fourth.
Juan has hit the ball very hard both at bats. That one on the ground hops through the 6-hole. Line drive to right. The first at bat was scorched, but right at Martinez. This one finds the hole and just keep barreling it up. Get him to the outfield grass.
Volquez, as we mentioned, retired the first two Dodgers with strikeouts, Gordon and Turner in the first, and he's really been trying to sprint up a sand dune ever since, and he's not having a whole lot of success. Ellis takes a strike. Dodgers now with 2 runs and 4 hits, helped by 2 walks and a hit batsman. Veteran Edinson Volquez. Ellis hitting the head up the middle and off the bag and past Walker into short right. Dodgers get a break, first and third, and nobody out.
Yes, they do get a break on this one because Neil Walker once again was shading up the middle. Not more than just double play depth, kind of almost like a real pull. You see him where he's located, so he had a beat on this ball, and luckily it hits the bag. Would have been an interesting play, but it was well hit as well from Ellis, so it wasn't like he just mishit it and he got lucky there. I mean, that ball was hit hard. It would have been a tough play for Walker if he does get to that.
And a Carl's Cam ricochet shot. Engine Ryu with runners at the corners and nobody out. Now Harrison strolling in from third. Sanchez sprinting in from first. And Ryu takes low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
And as Harrison comes in from third base, as Ryu squares around, Uribe was smart. He's aware that the shortstop is closer to second, so he is following Harrison all the way in. So if Ryu can get this bunt down, if he bunts it to Harrison and he follows him close enough and Harrison makes the play, he has a chance to even score when he throws it to first base.
1 ball, 1 strike. Watching Uribe and Harrison, it's as if they're tethered to one another.
Well, that's the way you're supposed to as a runner. And even on that one, Harrison, after the pitch before, he realized that Uribe's following him, so he actually stayed back on that one. So a little cat and mouse over there as well.
Lorenzo Bundy offering his advice. Put your right foot in, put your right foot out. Dodgers with a chance to score more. Run up the first base line that rolls foul. And as soon as the ball went up the first base line, Harrison retreated to third, as did Uribe. Lorenzo Bundy getting the sign from Don Mattingly. And now he's passing it on to his base runner. And to Ryu, most important. Ryu has 6 sacrifice bunts on the year. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's a rookie umpire, Toby Basner, at first base.
He attempted to bunt that ball. Dodgers have caught in a few breaks. That ball that hits the bag up the middle could have been a double play on a good play because Ellis was running, and that bunt right there, lack of call.
Well, the sacrifice works. Ellis goes to second. Uribe has to stay put at third. 7th sacrifice of the season for Ryu. It'll bring up D. Gordon with second and third and 1 out.
I would think Pittsburgh would play their infield in. You play shallow enough anyway with D. Gordon at the plate to prevent the infield hit, so you might as well just bring them all the way in. Got the risk of the hard hit ball when D is naturally up for the single, so now you bring them in to guard against the runner at third scoring.
Well, Mercer and Walker, it's short and second, about halfway. And Gordon has been among the best this year in the National League with runners in scoring position. He squares the bunt and takes strike, 0-1. Gordon 1 for 2, hitting .366 with runners in scoring position this year. That's third in the National League.
And with that, when you have the infield in, I'd like to see you know, you're handling the bat well, swing the bat. But if he was just doing it just to show, it could actually, which is not a bad idea, just create more of an angle to really force the corners to come in, just to put it in their heads.
To second base, and Uribe is deader than Julius Caesar.
I tell you, that was an excellent job by Juan Uribe. Let me tell you what he does there by getting in that rundown. Ellis is supposed to go. Ellis did a good job as well as a base runner. Once you know, they're already told. Ellis knew ahead of time that anything on contact, Uribe is going to go home. So watch Ellis on contact. He's already going because he knows Uribe is going home. Well, now Uribe stops and get in this rundown because that allows D. Gordon to get over it in scoring position. So excellent job by Uribe and by Ellis.
Making the best of a bad situation. So now it's second and third and 2 out. And we've seen, what, 5 plays to Neil Walker. One of them a ricochet shot off second base where he had no chance. He has played an outstanding defensive second base. Justin Turner, second and third, 2 out. In an inning that might have been, and now it's up to Turner to see what it will be. Uribe single to left. Ellis single to right. A ricochet shot off second base. Ryu the sacrifice bunt, and then Gordon grounds to second, and Uribe is caught in the rundown between third and home. Now it's second and third. 1 ball, 1 strike to Justin Turner, starting at shortstop tonight. Turner, when he was in New York and now that he's been with the Dodgers, has shown he's a very clutch hitter. Ellis at third and Gordon at second. And Volquez trying to work out of a jam. One ball, 2 strikes.
Justin didn't like that pitch. He thought it might have been off the corner, might have broke out of the strike zone. See, it barely might have caught the strike zone there, but it's definitely going to question the umpire. Maybe ask, is that as far as you're going? Was that really on the corner, so he knows?
Oh, so you have conversations with the umpires? They give you information?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was their job.
I was just wanting to know if that's as far as he's going. We have conversations just like you do every time you walk off the mound and you're talking.
If a pitcher says, is that as far as you're going from the mound, you get tossed.
Well, isn't that the job of your catcher to talk to him for you?
There you go.
See, you have it all. Yeah, don't act like you're not getting your information.
So Volquez and Martin have completed their brief conversation. Dodgers have already left 4 men on base. Second and third. 2 out, and a 2-2 count to Justin Turner. 0 for 2, got a board on a fielder's choice and scored a run. And he lines one off the glove of Harrison into left field. It's past Mercer, so Ellis comes in to score, and so does Gordon, and the Dodgers take a 4-0 lead. That was smoked.
In an inning of deflections, the ball up the middle off the bag. This ball off of Harrison. They have 21 errors down there when Pedro Alvarez is playing, but I'm not sure this is going to be graded an error. This ball was ripped. And Justin Turner picks the inning up. 2 out RBIs, just like last night. 4 of them last night, 2 right there by Turner.
So Ellis and Gordon come in to score. Alvarez, who has really become a lightning rod in this town, has had all sorts of difficulties defensively and offensively, of which so much had been expected throughout his career. It hasn't been happening for him on that side either. Alvarez hitting just .237 and has 21 errors, which is why he's got a really good seat tonight. So it goes as a base hit and 2 RBIs for Turner, and the Dodgers have a 4-0 lead. Gonzalez fouls it back.
Well, you were talking about how clutch Justin Turner has been for the Dodgers this year, and that was definitely a clutch hit. And that ball was just hit. Can't get over it. I know what it feels like over there at the hot corner, and that ball is just hit so hard, and you're frustrated with yourself. You really kind of get that one in between. You can't move. It freezes you for a second, and you're hoping it goes into your glove.
Instead, it left a mark. Gonzalez on 0-2 drills it into center field for a base hit. Rounding third and coming home is Turner. Third run of the 4th for the Dodgers. They lead 5-0.
Well, another 2-out RBI for the Dodgers. We said that at the open, that 2-out RBIs can demoralize a team and can motivate yours. And I heard kind of the sound over there in the dugout. They were excited about that. Big clutch hitting once again for the Dodgers. Nice piece of hitting for Adrian Gonzalez.
And we were wondering at the outset, would there be a carryover from last night's dramatic win, energizing win, and the early results have been positive for the Dodgers tonight. Well, Kemp, with that double in the 3rd inning, produced a run and broke a streak that he wasn't particularly proud of. A double and a walk and a ground ball to short, and Mercer with the underhanded toss will end the inning. But the Dodgers come up with 3 runs on 4 hits and leave 1. And after 3.5, they lead 5-0.
putting up a 3-spot in the top half of the 4th inning as we make our way to the bottom of the 4th inning. Now, right now already with a 5-0 lead, and really if you followed the series all the way back to 2000, you would not be surprised that the Dodgers have typically dominated the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you take a look at the best records versus any opponent going back to 2001, a minimum of 50 games is Yasiel Puig and Hanley Ramirez are throwing stuff at me. Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Pirates, a .701 winning percentage. That is the best against any opponent, guys.
Throw it back at them.
I'm going to. How about that?
Yeah.
Puig? So their hands are fine. A little bit sore. You doing okay? He's all right.
Yeah, you throw the microphone down and he walks away. That's it.
Yeah, you
Kryptonite.
So you leave. I see how it is. They're fine. X-rays negative on both. That's good news, guys.
So the Dodgers with a 5-0 lead, and Marte 2 balls and no strikes as we hit the bottom half of the 4th. Marte fly to center in his first at bat. You throw the mic at them, they ran. They headed for the hills.
You want to talk? Here you go.
Yeah, bring it on.
Well, it's a good sign that they're out there. They're cheering on their teammates, supporting them, and enjoying themselves as they're watching them play very good baseball right now.
Ryu's given up just 1 hit, 1 base runner through the first 3, and he's got a 5-run lead to work with. And Marte fouls it off his foot. It's 2-2. As you see, Ryu has thrown only 39 pitches so far. By way of comparison, Volquez through 4 innings, 75 pitches. Dodgers with a 5-0 lead. The Giants have a 3-2 lead in Philadelphia, playing in the 4th inning. We'll keep you up to date on that one. Ryu seems very calm and rhythmic tonight. A ground ball to short, and Justin Turner throws out Marte, first out of the 4th. What are you seeing out of Ryu?
Well, you know what? But see, first of all, he's getting people out. Then you see Pittsburgh trying to upset his rhythm by stepping out and holding up their hand to try and keep the umpire from him attacking. So that tells me a lot about his confidence and the fact that he's thrown strikes and he's confident about his mechanics and he's going to throw the ball in there. And now that he's got a big lead, he is going to attack. It changes your theory and your strategy a little bit as a pitcher because you don't want to set the table for the opposing team. You just want to throw strikes, keep all your pitches together. Don't like all of a sudden give up on your changeup or give up on your curveball or give up on your slider. Keep them all together so you have them and you can continue to attack and be a mystery.
McCutchen was struck out on 3 pitches in his first at bat. 1 ball and 1 strike to Andrew McCutchen.
He is just trying to suffocate the hitters. He gets right on the rubber and gets right back into it.
At the knees. McCutchen second in the league at 320. 3rd in the league in base hits. 4th in the league in doubles. 2nd in the league in on base percentage. Top 10 runners in scoring position. Really one of the game's elite stars.
You know, like Yasiel Puig, the whole package as far as the aggressiveness, the strength, the quickness, especially the strength from the elbows down to the hands.
Oh! Gordon, can he get the play? No. Just getting to the ball was quite remarkable. And McCutchen with his speed certainly wasn't going to be beaten by the throw. But D. Gordon coming oh so close.
Well, this would look like the makings of just an amazing play by D. Gordon, laying out, getting there, but just unable to hold on to that ball. And the ball ended up bouncing too far away from him as well to be able to come up with it and maybe have a second effort, but that first effort was tremendous.
So the 1-out single for McCutchen, and Gabby Sanchez coming up.
A normal human being just stands there and watches that line drive to right field, but with Dee's quickness and first step.
Yeah. Normal human beings just turning around and looking for the throw back into him.
Yeah. But he knows I better react because I can get to that ball.
No balls and 2 strikes to Gabby Sanchez. He struck out in his first at bat.
Wow. It was so close to being a catch.
It was. If he had caught that more in the web of the glove as compared to kind of the finger part of the glove,
or if the fingers were tied a little tighter.
Into center field. Heading on back is Ethier. It's 2 out. And here's Neil Walker playing for the only team he's ever wanted to play for, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Grew up in Pittsburgh, a Pirate fan. First round pick in 2004. Switch hitter. He'll turn 29 in September. His dad and Roberto Clemente were the best of friends. Now quick toss to first base. McCutchen has stolen 16 out of 17 this year. And Rio, of course, has a terrific motion to first. Neil Walker, all in all, didn't have a bad senior year in high school. 13 home runs, 42 RBIs, and hit 657. Can't do that in slow pitch softball.
The guy sitting to my left and your right, Charlie, might have hit numbers like that.
Just below it.
Just below it. 620, 630, not 650.
It was 5 something.
Yeah. You might have played in a tougher league. You caught him in the big leagues, though. You went right by him.
There's a strike. Neil's dad, Tom Walker, pitched for a time with the Expos, the Tigers, Cardinals, and Angels from 72 through 77. Inside. Check swing. Two out, home half of the 4th. Walker single to right in his first at bat. At 285. Russell Martin awaits. That beautiful PNC Park in Pittsburgh is just about packed to the rafters. As Walker, as his name applies, takes a walk. First walk given up by Ryu. And the Pirates with their first runner in scoring position. McCutchen at second, Walker at first, and here's the former Dodger, Russell Martin, coming up.
That's where you have to be careful. Russell Martin understands these situations where they really do kind of need the 3-run homer. He'll be looking for, I think, a breaking ball in the inner half to turn on.
Russell has 5 home runs on the year and 31 runs batted in.
Yeah, Russell is one of those hitters that wait till 2 strikes before he shortens up. He's going to try to get a pitch that he thinks he can drive out of the ballpark.
So I think he's looking for that slider or cutter down and in, one that he can turn on, because he knows he's probably not going to be able to go oppo. I would stay away from the inner half. I went inner half on him. I would go way inside, make him pull it foul.
Dodgers a 5-0 lead. Inside, 2-1.
Look, there's a fastball inside just off the plate, and he doesn't even offer at it when he has 1 strike. That tells me he's sitting soft.
Yeah.
He was thinking about turning and burn on a heater. That was the one.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Russell Martin.
And that's what makes him go after that one, because he was sitting soft. He sees it. You know it wasn't a strike. You see it, you end like in your head, you're just like, oh, I guessed right. And then you're out in front a little bit. And it wasn't really a strike.
And he was hoping that one would come into him. It was away. It was a changeup. Took his balance away.
Martin in his 2nd season with the Pirates. Takes inside and low. 3-2, and so the runners will get a head start. McCutchen from second base and Walker from first. Jordy Mercer's been a very hot hitter, is on deck. Dodgers with 2 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Fly into right field for a base hit. And in the score is McCutchen. Walker holds at second. The Pirates are on the board. It's 5-1. Russell Martin's 32nd run batted into the year.
Well, he's been looking for, I think, that pitch the whole at bat. We just saw him not offer on a fastball in. Look at the curveball, the off balance on the changeup, but that high slider / cutter hanging right there. He didn't powder it like he wanted to, but he got the pitch he was looking for, was up, and he put it into the outfield.
We're in the bottom of the 4th. Dodgers lead 5-1. Bottom of the 4th in Philly. Giants lead 3-2. Mercer, base hit to right. In to score is Walker. Martin will be held at 3rd. It is 5-2.
I won't be surprised if we get a little visit here just to change the momentum for Rick Honeycutt. A.J. Ellis go out to the mound for Ryu, get him refocused. Don't get down too much, big fella. You're up 3 runs. 1st and 3rd, 2 out. This is huge. Here comes Rick. He's throwing a lot of strikes, and they're starting to move the bat early. And instead of holding up their hand and saying timeout, they're just going up and hacking.
Jordy Mercer's 32nd run batted into the year. Rick Honeycutt is joined by Ryu's interpreter Martin Kim. One of the things we noticed when Honeycutt comes out with Kim, when Honeycutt walks, Kim walks. When he trots, they trot. Well, let's see. There they go in lockstep. Honeycutt and Kim. Yeah, they're on their way back. Michael Martinez, upon his recall, is 0 for 7 with the Pirates. Bounced to 3rd in his first at bat. So the Dodgers lead is now 5-2 with 2 on and 2 out. Right to short, Turner to Gordon, and that will end the inning. Well, whatever Honeycutt and Kim had to say to Ryu, it was solved in 1 pitch. But the Pirates scored 2 in the bottom of the 4th. We go to the 5th, and the Dodgers lead by 3. be Ethier, Crawford, and Uribe coming up. You know, back in 1977, Steve Garvey, Ron Say, Dusty Baker, and Reggie Smith became the first set of 4 teammates to hit 30 home runs in the same season. And the Dodgers will honor their achievement Thursday, July 31st at Dodger Stadium. The first 50,000 fans in attendance take home an original 30 Home Run Club bobblehead presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. Well, Edinson Volquez had a chance to catch his breath in the bottom half of the 4th when his team came up with a couple of runs and 3 hits. But the Dodgers have cuffed him around for 5 runs and 7 base hits. Russell Martin with an RBI base hit, and Jordy Mercer had the other one. Andrew McCutchen would come around and score. Neil Walker scored the other run. Andre Ethier leads off the 5th. Ethier 0 for 2, a fielder's choice and an RBI. And on the first pitch, an easy hop to Neil Walker. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 5th inning. Well, there's a riverboat passing by on the Allegheny. Proud Mary keeps on churning. It is such a picturesque city, and the rebound and renaissance this town has made is remarkable, and a lot of it has a lot to do with PNC Park, Heinz Field, where the Steelers play. The operative colors in this town are black and gold. Crawford, 1 ball, 1 strike. Carl has bounced out and has been struck out. Forbes Field for many years, the home of the Pirates. And then the Three Rivers, and fly ball left field. Marte is the Three Rivers Stadium. That was in the cookie cutter stadium portion of baseball history. You had Riverfront, Three Rivers, and Philadelphia, Veterans Stadium. Those were a good idea at the time. Time lasted about 30 seconds.
They put the dome on the one in Houston.
Yeah. And then they came to realize, and they were all artificial turf to boot, they just didn't work.
But then they were all multi-purpose.
That was the whole idea.
And that was the key. But I think the sports economy grew so much that you could afford to have a stadium
2 separate ones
for each sport.
That's where we are tonight.
Well, whoever designed this one, the architect, did a tremendous job. And really, to be able to capture that skyline, doesn't even look real. You come here, it's like it's a beautiful painting in the outfield.
Three Rivers, not so much. Did you get a chance to play there?
Yeah. Yeah, but the AstroTurf was tough. The crowds at only 5,000 a game. People, not much there at times.
Well, it took last year. The Pirates finally got off the schneid. 20 years in a row of finishing below 500. But now they're a competitive ball club. They're a game and a half out of first place, and a lot of the credit goes to that fella. Merely the manager of the year last year. Boy, it's one Uribe ever locked in. That's his 2nd hit of the night.
He's hiding down there in the 7-hole. He's swinging the bat, some of the best on the team. Looked like he gave Davey Lopes a whisper sign like, shh, don't tell anybody I'm hot. He's swinging
I'll tell you what, he's making a loud sound all 3 times today. And he's got just 2 hits, but his first at bat, it was like a line out to right field.
And A.J. Ellis hit by a pitch in his first at bat. It was a slow curve that had no bite, but it took a bite out of his helmet. Obviously, he's okay. Then he would single to right. Ellis had that big double last night in St. Louis. to short left field, and coming on and making the catch is Starling Marte, and that will end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. So Marte robs Ellis of a hit. Edinson Volquez the beneficiary, and Volquez will lead off for the Bucks in the bottom of the 5th. Dignified human beings. Then pops Willie Stargell. We are family pirates. Will always be remembered in these parts. Willie and Roberto Clemente. The history of this franchise. We just came from St. Louis. The great history of the Cardinals. Honus Wagner. Danny Murtaugh, the manager of the 1960 Pirates. Mazeroski home run off Ralph Terry at Forbes Field. And one of those trivia questions, who is in left field for the Yankees watching the ball go over the fence? Yogi Berra off the bat of Max. Edinson Volquez leading it off in the bottom of the 5th, and Volquez bounced to first in his first at bat. Volquez gets a hit once every blue moon or so. His batting average at the moment is a hefty .040. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 for 25.
Higher than Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
Barely.
You know, you get those guys in a singles derby.
I'd like to play them all in ping pong. I think I'd win for sure. Their eye-hand coordination cannot be real good.
On 2-2. Well, his .040 batting average just plummeted. He's not even 20% to the Mendoza line.
He grounds out and he wants to stand on first just to see what it's like.
He wants to take the ball back.
Base feel like, let me just touch it.
Let me just stand over here for a minute.
Hi, my name is Edinson. Josh Harrison coming up. Harrison has bounced to third and has been struck out. Harrison has been quite a story this year. He's out of Cincinnati. At 5'8", powerfully built, about 200 pounds. Originally came up with the Cubs. was traded over here 5 years ago. And generally regarded as a utility man, play a little here, play a little there. Career .250 hitter. But this season, every time you look up, he's on a highlight show. At the moment, he's hitting .292 and has become the third baseman because things have come undone for Alvarez. Five home runs, 29 runs batted in. Alvarez wants a first-round pick. Look at D. Gordon pick it and get the speedy Harrison. D. Gordon with his emergence this year, of course he's hitting .290 something. Lost in all of that is the spectacular play he has made and plays he has made at second base.
Well, we talk about offensively his legs stealing those bases. I mean, that is between Ryu's legs. And D. Gordon showing the range and the athleticism. When he catches that ball, because it was hit so sharply, you have your glove go with you, and he almost let that ball take his momentum so he can spin around to get his body into position to make that throw.
And Harrison is a very fast base runner. Robbed of a hit. There's two out, and Starling Marte coming up. Back goes Kemp, and he's got plenty of room. And that ends the inning. So after a rugged fourth, a 1-2-3-5 for Ryu. We'll go to the sixth. Gordon and the Dodgers have a 5-2 lead.
Of the sixth inning, and of course Charlie Steiner and Oral Hershiser, Nomar Garcia-Parra just bragging on the beautiful defensive play that D. Gordon just made in the bottom half of the fifth inning as Yasiel Puig and Hanley Ramirez continue to not leave me alone. But D. Gordon, guys, has been absolutely tremendous all season long. A little bit of a weird fact, but with the hit tonight, D. Gordon now on this list of impressive numbers and impressive guys. 269 hits, 110 stolen bases in the first 276 career games. Obviously, when you're talking about Ricky Henderson, Tim Raines, Vince Coleman, you know you're talking about stolen bases. D. Gordon already 44 this year.
There are certain players that managers keep in the everyday lineup, Charlie, because when they're not, they bother them.
Yes.
And I think Yasiel and Hanley are saying, look, if we're not going to get to play,
we're going to bother Alana.
We're going to bother Alana. We're going to bother the coaches. We're going to bother Don until they get us back in there. We're just going to be a pain.
Well, they're doing a darn good job.
For guys who don't like to get interviewed and do a lot of sound bites and stuff, they sure are really
they like the camera. There's a difference between, they don't like the mic, but they like the camera.
Well, on one pitch, Ryu is retired, and the aforementioned Mr. Gordon takes a strike, 0-1. Gordon took a called third strike, an infield hit, a run scored. The Dodgers lead by 3 in a 1-1 count. Justin Turner is on deck. Inside. In the bottom of the 4th, the Phillies have scored a couple of runs off Vogelsong. Ryan Howard singles home Sizemore and Collins. Rollins, I should say. And it is 4-3 Phillies. So the Dodgers with the lead here and the Phillies with the lead there. Next stop, San Francisco after tomorrow night and Wednesday night. Tomorrow we'll be back with you. First pitch about 5 after 4 Pacific. Odds are it'll be Josh Beckett. A roster move will have to be made against Vance Worley. And then on Wednesday, Dan Herron and Francisco Liriano. And the Dodgers and Giants are westward bound. Going to be a double, but he decides to go conservative, and probably the wise move. Starling Marte pounced in on that.
Starling Marte was playing so close to the line, to the foul line. I mean, he was, and you see D. Gordon. This is by design. D. Gordon works on hitting the ball right there down that third base line at batting practice. But Starling Marte, where he was positioned, D. Gordon, he was positioning him over there to guard that line. And that's the reason why he held D. Gordon to a single. But doesn't stop D. Gordon from trying to steal a base.
But Russell Martin has thrown out about a third of would-be base stealers this year. Interesting to know, since the All-Star break, D. Gordon has 3, 5, 7 base hits, and 6 of the 7 have gone either to left field or center field. He's pulled only 1. One out, 1 on in the 6th, and the Dodgers lead by 3.
Right now, D. Gordon's looking for that big leg kick from Volquez. Volquez shows a slide step to home plate, and he also shows a leg kick to home plate.
And Turner tonight has scored 2 runs, knocked in 2, and is 1 for 3 and a double. Volquez reminding D. Gordon, I'm watching you. Gabby Sanchez going to go over and talk to him. And bullpen activity. Genmar Gomez. For Volquez, it's been a battle tonight. He's given up 5 runs and 9 hits. He's not had a 1-2-3 inning. And the leash is getting tighter. Gonzalez on deck and Kemp to follow. Turner, who's starting at short tonight. Hanley Ramirez with the sore hand. And Turner takes up and in. They've gone to the 5th in Philadelphia now, and the Phillies with a 4-3 lead. Turner with the runner going, and the runner, Gordon, stealing his 45th base of the year.
Well, Turner recognizing that D. Gordon's going, doesn't even bother swinging at it, doesn't even do anything. Great jump by D. Gordon. He was looking for that leg kick. He gets it and does what he does best. Run, see Turner just kind of turn away. He's like, listen, D. Gordon is off. I'd rather hit with him on second base.
D. Gordon with more stolen bases than anybody. Now Turner with a runner in scoring position, and now Gordon gets himself picked off.
A heads-up move by Volquez on the mound. He goes with an inside move. D feeling the adrenaline and after the successful stolen bag, and Volquez goes and turns inside, so that leg kick is used to get him off the rubber. That is not a balk. And D is breaking on the leg kick, but the leg kick is coming back to second base. If anything could be a balk, that should be a balk more than anything. When they talk about deceiving the runner, that's one of the biggest deceptions you'll ever have.
And you can't balk to second base, and the question is, why not?
Yeah, and when a left-handed pitcher with a man on first breaks the plane of the rubber because your knee goes behind the rubber and breaks the 90-degree angle, that is about the same as that right there. You break the plane of the rubber, you got to go home.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean,
it's been allowed.
It's been allowed for, right.
Been around forever, and that's why. But that heat tank brings the leg up, and then you turn from your hip is how you do that as a pitcher. So you stay balanced on your back leg like a flamingo, and then as your leg gets to the top, you turn your front hip in a little bit and bring your weight back. If that's not deceiving the runner,
right.
I don't know what it is.
Well, for me,
I used it because it was by the rules. But
no, I understand. I mean, that's part of it. The one for me is the buckle the front knee and then throwing over to first. That's the one that really.
Well, that's gamesmanship.
One man's gamesmanship is another man's deception.
Exactly.
Or cheating, whatever you want to call it.
Or balking.
Or balking.
And Turner with a single to left with 2 out, his second hit of the night. So D wondering what might have been. And now Adrian Gonzalez coming up. But the whole idea of the rule of the balk is not to deceive the runner. But you can deceive him from here till next Tuesday with a throw to second base. And here's the pitching coach, Ray Searage, coming out to chat with Volquez, with Adrian Gonzalez coming up.
Here you take a look at the move, and you see he comes and he disengages from the rubber once the kick leg turns and lands towards second base. So they say, well, you're stepping towards second, so that's not deceiving because they want you to step towards the base you're throwing to.
And if you did it to first base, you spent 30 days in the slammer.
Yeah, you'd be suspended.
Well, at least they finally changed that fake to third, fake to first deal.
Yeah.
Bet you love that as a base runner.
Yes.
Well, you know what? That one is just like the one we saw.
Right. I mean,
they outlawed one and kept the other.
I mean, both are trying to deceive the runner.
Now Adrian Gonzalez with 2 out. And it gets past Russell Martin. Martin didn't even realize.
You could rewrite the rule pretty easily on the balk and get to the point where you just say, we want you to throw the ball to the bag to pick the runner off, or we want you to deliver the ball home. If you do anything else, it's against the rules.
That would appear to be a pass ball. And as a result of that, Adrian Gonzalez will be intentionally walked, and Matt Kemp will come up. Third walk for Volquez. Genmar Gomez is warming in the Pirate bullpen. And it looks like the end of the line for Edinson Volquez. It goes as a wild pitch, by the way, for those of you keeping score at home. Not sure that I know very many people who do, but that's the appropriate thing for announcers to say under such a case. Volquez's night is done. Gomez is coming in. He'll be facing Matt Kemp with Turner at second, Gonzalez at first. Dodgers leading 5-2 with 2 out in the top of the 6th. For strikes, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. Third and final walk, an intentional walk to Adrian Gonzalez. Here's Yanmar Gomez, his 30th appearance. Opposing hitter sitting 276. Strikeout to walk ratio a little better than 2-1. And so he'll be facing Matt Kemp.
Gomez has had a tough time keeping inherited runners from scoring. 15 inherited runners this year so far. 9 have scored, and then you look at another stat. First batters faced and retired, 29 he's faced, and 17 have reached base.
Gomez out of Venezuela came up in the Indian organization, his 2nd year with the Pirates. And here is Matt Kemp. Walked, doubled, bounced out, and driven in a run tonight. Dodgers with 2 in the 3rd and 3 in the 4th. Pirates scored 2 in the bottom of the 4th. The Dodgers on the first pitch, a fly ball, routine right, and Michael Martinez is there handling it. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left after 5.5. The Dodgers lead 5-2. brought to you by 76. Back with you. First pitch about 5 after 4. The likelihood is Josh Beckett off the disabled list to face Vance Worley. Wednesday at 5 after 4, Dan Herron and Francisco Liriano. Then the Dodgers are off on Thursday in the big weekend series with the Giants in San Francisco. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A strike to Andrew McCutchen, 1 for 2 and a run scored. Ryu delivers inside and low. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. It's about a 6-hour drive from here to Philadelphia. Pittsburgh, the westernmost part of the state by and large, and Philly, of course, bordering New Jersey, Keystone State, and about 300 miles from here, the Phillies have a 4-3 lead in the 5th inning. Over the Giants, McCutchen flies to Kemp, first out of the 6th. So if the scores hold up, the Dodgers will end the day a game in front of San Francisco. Cardinals are off tonight. Milwaukee has a 1-0 lead on Cincinnati. Pirates are keeping a close eye on that game. Sanchez 0 for 2 with a fly ball to center field, and Ethier is in. So Ryu, who struggled through the 4th inning, had an easy time of it in the first 3 and retired the Pirates in order in the 5th. Retired the first 2 batters here in the 6th.
Yeah, and got a little help from D. Gordon in that 5th inning with that play up the middle, and getting a little help also from these Pirate hitters being aggressive early in the count and getting a couple fly balls.
Coming into the game, the Pirates and the Dodgers had the exact same batting average, 257 as a team. Scored essentially the same number of runs. Dodgers 412, and the Pirates 403, same number of hits. And the difference, as is often the case, the pitching, and especially the Dodgers starting pitching. And tonight it's Ryu's turn. Dodgers starting pitching ERA 3.14. Lowest in the majors, and the starters' 1-loss record at 47-29 is the best. Uribe backhands at third. She's making look easy. Walker grounds out a 1-2-3 inning. 7 straight retired by Ryu. We go to the 7th, and the Dodgers lead 5-2. Night in Pittsburgh. 88 degrees at game time and humidity to match. But it's cooled off some as the sun has set. And the Allegheny glistening off in the distance. Genmar Gomez will face Andre Ethier, Carl Crawford, and Juan Uribe. The Giants are going back and forth with the Phillies tonight. The Giants have played at 2 in the 6th and lead the Phillies now 5-4. Cliff Lee making his first start in a long time.
The Dodgers would love the Phillies to act like the best team in Pennsylvania.
But they're not.
Not anymore. They have not been in the playoffs since 2007.
Gomez misses outside. The rookie Duvall with a home run, 2-run shot off Cliff Lee. Lee in his first game back in a while, 5 runs and 10 hits in 5 1/3. Well, if Cliff Lee is on the trade market, he's not doing himself any favors tonight.
Interesting how those conversations go. I was assistant GM John Hart in Texas for a while, and you get privy to those conversations at a high level with the general manager and ownership. And sometimes after a bad outing like that, you're looking to maybe steal the player, as your scout and your reports are not strictly based on one outing as much as they're based on is his velocity where it's supposed to be, is his breaking ball decent, does he look healthy. We know what he can do when he gets it all together.
Neil Walker's going to throw out Ethier for the first out of the 7th. The big caveat in all of that is that Cliff Lee is owed a mountain of money for years to come. So he better be good. There better be no blemishes if you're going to make a deal for him.
Exactly.
And he's not at the point of his career where we think, hey, we can turn him around.
Yeah, you hope it with that amount of money, it's not based on one outing.
But also coming off the DL. Not getting any younger. Line drive over the head of Neil Walker. Crawford with a base hit into right.
If you're on the bench and teammate for Carl, coming back off the DL, getting back in there, getting a start, and you're going, please get over his head. He needs a base hit right here, and just out of the reach of Neil Walker for a nice base hit.
Now here's Uribe, who's hit the ball solidly all 3 times. Line to right, single to left twice, and Crawford has pilfered second base.
It was a good job by Carl, just going, okay, I think I'll catch him asleep. I just got a nice base hit, and first move, and he's off with a tremendous jump.
Remember, Carl started to develop a reputation of he doesn't run as much as he used to, especially from Tampa. Didn't run much in Boston, but then he got here to LA and he started to say, you know what, this is the healthiest my legs and my body have felt. And right when he twisted his ankle at Dodger Stadium and went on the DL was right when he was saying his body was feeling the best, his legs were feeling energetic. It looks like he's going to prove it again that they're feeling good.
Uribe fouls it off to the right.
You know what I love about Juan Uribe? Wherever he hits in the order, 7th, and most of the time he's down 5th, 6th, 7th. He brings such energy and concentration that even when he makes an out, it feels like the team is engaged and competing and locked in. And he sends off that vibe.
He is so popular in that room. To third. Harrison throws out Uribe. Crawford can't go anywhere. There's 2 out.
Well, you and I were talking about it. He's one of those guys that just does so well with guys in scoring position, albeit right there, grounds out with a man on second. But for the most part, it's that mentality that I always like. I like that average at runners in scoring position as a stat when I look at individuals, because for me, it somewhat tells me their mindset, that it just changes when guys that they believe those are their guys to knock in, and they try to figure out a way and find a way to knock it in. And Juan Uribe does that.
A.J. Ellis is going to be intentionally walked. And Ryu will back with first and second, 2 out.
A couple guys on our team that you can physically see their approach change depending on the situation. Adrian Gonzalez and Juan Uribe. And Juan he can be an all or nothing type hitter when he knows it's time for a home run late in the game, sit on a breaking ball and really come out of his shoes to swing. And he can shorten up and spread out and slap the ball to right when he knows that's what it takes. That's why, for me, sometimes, and the way he gets in the box and the way he approaches the at-bat and grinds it out, for me sometimes, having him down there in the bottom of the order compared to maybe a little farther up, I'd rather have his bat come up sometimes in the ninth when the lineup doesn't get turned over that last time than to have him still sitting on the bench watching, just kind of waiting for you.
Uribe in his first 2 years with the Dodgers, when he just had a terrible time with it, hitting 204 in 2011 and 191 in 2012, was pulling everything all the time. When he began his turnaround, had a solid year last year to be sure, and having a great year this year, he started going the other way, and so he still pulls the balls up, but he's been hitting the ball much more solidly the last 2 years. Dodgers than he did in his first 2 years.
If it is accurate and meticulous as the information is kept now, I'm sure when you look at Uribe's spray chart, you will see breaking balls pulled and fastballs to right field.
First and second, 2 out. 7th inning, and the Dodgers lead by 3, and Ryu takes inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryu 0 for 2 in a sacrifice. Has 6 hits this year. 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and he's got Crawford at second base, and A.J. Ellis is at first. Up the middle, and fielded nicely by Mercer. That will end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 left, 7th inning stretch. Dodgers 5 and the Pirates 2. Turner, Gonzalez, and Uribe all with 2 hits apiece. 11 of the base hits coming from 2-hit performances by 4 players. Follow every Dodger game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio-free MLB.tv game of the week and more. Download on the App Store or visit Dodgers.com today. Meanwhile, Hyun-Jin Ryu rolling right along. 80 pitches through 6 innings. Russell Martin, the former Dodger, leading it off. Martin tonight has a hit and a strikeout.
Martin there trying to square around and see if he can get a push bunt. You got D. Gordon playing near second base, playing him to pull. You got Adrian Gonzalez off the line as well and deep. So it's like, I have it lefty on the hill, see if I can push it and try to get the inning started with a base hit.
Inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. So the Giants still hitting in the 6th, now a 6-4 lead in Philadelphia. And some other news and notes regarding the Dodgers' big rivals. Matt Cain goes on the disabled list. Elbow. Well, he's been struggling all year.
Didn't Brandon Belt go down too?
He's back, I think. Dan Uggla has just been signed by the Giants to a minor league. Belt had a leg injury, then he came back, and now he's on the 7-day DL concussion.
Yes. And the division got a little weaker today. The Rockies' Justin Morneau went on the DL with a neck strain.
He's been battling injuries all year up there. So the Dodgers head to San Francisco this weekend. The Giants will be without a Belt and without a Cain. And these 2 teams, the Giants and Dodgers, 62 games left, and they're in a flat-footed tie. Two balls and 2 strikes to Russell Martin, with Jordy Mercer and Michael Martinez to follow.
Congratulations to David Ortiz, hit his 453rd career home run, passed Carl Yastrzemski for 36th on the all-time list.
Martin down on strikes. That's the 5th strikeout of the game for Ryu. 1 out and no KO.
The breaking ball. He had a really good one against San Diego. He's got a good one here tonight. Slider and the curveball made him really a complete pitcher now. Fastball, changeup. The command of those 2 breaking pitches has really changed him as a pitcher this year.
Jordy Mercer takes a strike. Mercer 1 for 2. Michael Martinez on deck. Into left. Crawford battling the lights. Makes the catch. 2 out.
That ball was well struck by Mercer. Ryu trying to get this ball in, gets a little bit of the plate there, so he's able to square it up. And Carl Crawford, battling the lights, battling the field, battling himself, but comes up with a play.
But wins the battle.
Yes.
There's 2 out. Well, when the Dodgers broke camp in Glendale back at the end of March, little did they know that Carl Crawford on one night would start in left field, Andre Ethier in center, and Matt Kemp in right. That was not on the blackboard.
And it's one of the strengths of Ned Colletti is the fact that he understands that it's going to take a complete roster with a lot of flexible parts to get through a season. We've seen it with the pitching staff, we've seen it with the infield, and we've seen it with the outfield. So many people want to turn it into a controversy. Don Mattingly and Ned have done a pretty good job managing the personalities and keeping everybody happy. I think clubhouse chemistry has been really close to the top, as far as we haven't seen a lot of strife, and at least evidence of that with comments to the media. If guys are on the page of, you know, I got to earn my keep every day, and no matter what the manager says, he's going to write the lineup and we're going to go out there and play.
And he keeps saying, listen, I'm going to go put out, I might look at matchups. There's different reasons why he's put the outfielders out there. And it goes back to the thought is, how many times have they actually really all been available for him? I mean, it's been an issue we keep talking about, but not everybody's been available. And I mean, perfect example today, Yasiel, because he gets hit in the hand. That's why he's not in there. So you have to change it up.
It's a tough job because you got to give a lot of quotes and talk to a lot of people, and you can get caught sometimes. You know, one time it's, you know, Matt Kemp's going to go to left and we'll never see him in day, or yesterday we said, oh, we won't see him in right. Well, he's in right today because Hanley goes down and Yasiel's down.
And we saw him in center field for an inning the other night in St. Louis. It's going to be a tough play, but Uribe watches it go foul.
And then, you know, he went through the position of taking Hanley from the 3-hole to the 2-hole and moving him around. And, you know, it looked like we're going to make sure the Puig's going to be in the 3-hole. And then all of a sudden somebody tweaks something here and Hanley starts to swing a hot bat, moving back to the 3-hole. Now you've got to answer the question. Well, really what he's doing is he's managing, but people on a daily basis are asking for answers. And sometimes you don't have an answer that's going to last for longer than a day, a week, or a month. And then they want you to go back and talk about it and say, well, what'd you mean back then and what are you doing now? It's like, I'm managing the team.
Is that your title?
3-2 to Michael Martinez. Travis Snyder in the on deck circle to pinch hit for Gomez, should Martinez keep the inning alive. Meanwhile, Ryu has done a solid job tonight. And on 3-2, Martinez with a clean single to right.
Martinez, that's his first hit for the year here with the Pirates, as he's been called up and down, going up and down, coming into this game, only having 6 at-bats, was 0 for 6, and first 2 at-bats, didn't get a base hit, and finally gets a knock.
And it brings up Travis Snyder to pinch hit.
And Mr. Ryu is at 96 pitches. He's had a lot of rest. Hadn't pitched since July 13th and really has not shown no worse nor wear, no rust. And he does go over 100 pitches as far as the pitch count. A little conversation here with Rick Honeycutt. Talk about it, but he's been over 100 8 times this year. He is one that doesn't mind the long rest in between starts. He doesn't throw much in between starts, if at all. He enjoys the rest and letting his body and arm recover, and then he can come out and amazingly can have his stuff and his accuracy without a lot of practice.
Well, as you saw, the 4th inning was the only real problematic inning for Ryu when he gave up a couple of runs, 3 hits, and threw 27 of his 96 pitches.
And his English is getting better because as Rick is talking, he's bobbing his head like he already understands, but he's waiting also for the interpreter to clarify it.
Well, all we know for sure is that he's bobbing his head. Every day is bobblehead day for Hinjin. So here's Travis Snyder to pinch hit. And inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Snyder, when he plays here at PNC Park in 44 games, hit .292 this year. To shortstop. Turner with the flip to Gordon, and that ends the inning. So Ryu is out of the 7th inning with a 5-2 lead. We go to the 8th. It'll be the top of the order for the Dodgers. Gordon, Turner, and Gonzalez coming up. A 5-2 lead over the Pirates. And it's time to take a look at the Arco top tier play of the game, turned in by D. Gordon. And that was in the 5th inning when he robbed Josh Harrison of a base hit, spinning and throwing and getting Harrison by a couple of steps.
Didn't he make that look way too easy? I mean, even though he goes down, just his athleticism and quickness. Let's not forget that is a shortstop arm. He was a shortstop over there, showing off over there at second base.
Pirates make some changes here. Travis Snyder, who came in to pinch hit, stays in the game in right. And a new pitcher. Ernesto Frieri, the fallen angel, making his 9th appearance with the Pirates. Grilli left here. Frieri came here, and so far it hasn't worked out too well. For Gordon tonight, a couple of base hits and a run scored and a stolen base. A first-time All-Star having a sensational season. Justin Turner on deck, Adrian Gonzalez to follow. Frieri delivers and Gordon fouls it off. They're going to the 7th in Philadelphia, and the Giants have a 6-4 lead over the Phillies. Frieri deals. Got a ground ball to second base, and Walker throws out Gordon. Now Justin Turner 2 for 4. 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs tonight. Filling in for Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez, of course, hit on the shoulder, hit on the hand. Last night in St. Louis, the one on the hand. Now when they describe it as a contusion, it means in medical terms, nothing broken, but it really hurts. But they're hoping that Hanley Ramirez will be back in the saddle tomorrow. Puig also a sore hand, having been hit by a pitch. So Ramirez and Puig out of the lineup tonight. Turner swings and misses. Puig sitting out his second game as he's exercising that hand. Justin Turner's just done a terrific job for the Dodgers this year. Although he takes a call, third strike here. Filling in at third base. Of course, he was in a battle for second base in spring training. Of course, Gordon would win that one. Turner, when Uribe went down with his hamstring, came in and did a great job in coming off the bench. He's been a good clutch hitter. There's 2 out.
The different battles in spring training where a few of the guys were really kind of just play one position. D. Gordon, they really looked at as just a second baseman, even though he could play some other places. Sean Figgins and Justin Turner were not only in battle for the second base position, but also for the bench role because they can play so many places.
And it probably won't be long before Sean Figgins returns to the major league level. Of course, he's had a leg injury and he's been working it. Maybe just a matter of days before the veteran comes back. And can't say enough about what Figgins has done for D. Gordon as he has progressed at the new position. Gonzalez, 2 hits, 2 walks, a run scored, and an RBI tonight.
We should send out some well wishes to Alex Guerrero. Back playing and getting back in the swing of things. He should be in full, ready to go. Maybe in another 2-3 weeks of getting his legs under him and playing down there in the minors.
Adrian Gonzalez on 1-1 into right field. That's well hit. Snyder is back at the wall. He leaps. He can't get it, and Gonzalez is on his way to second base with a double. Adrian Gonzalez with the game-winning line drive hit to right last night, picking up where he left off tonight. He's got 3 base hits. He's been on base all 5 plate appearances.
Well, here's a breaking ball in where lefties like it, and he stays on it, especially after swinging at a high fastball the pitch before, getting under it and going, okay, where am I going to set my sights? I get a breaking ball. I stay back. It's easy to speed up, to feel like I was late on that high fastball and looking for that. Instead, he wasn't out in front, stayed back nicely on that breaking ball and drives it to right field.
So 23 doubles on the season for Gonzalez, 2 of them tonight. And Matt Kemp coming up. Kemp has walked and doubled. He's also grounded out and flied out. He's driven in a run. Dodgers lead it 5-2. Outside and low, 1 ball and no strikes to Matt Kemp.
Fieri out there and talk about the fallen angel. Jason Grilli, since getting the change of scenery and leaving Pittsburgh, has only given up 1 earned run since he became an Angel in the 8 1/3 innings that he has pitched over there. So the change of scenery has worked out for the Angels.
Two balls and no strikes to Kemp. At the moment, that's at 268. Gonzalez with a 2-out double, leading off second. Ethier in the on-deck circle. Back with you tomorrow. First pitch a little past 4 o'clock Pacific. And in all likelihood, it's going to be Josh Beckett coming off the disabled list. Face Vance Worley. Wednesday, a little after 4 from PNC, Dan Herron and Francisco Liriano. And just what the Dodgers need after the game on Wednesday, another late night flight. Most of the Dodger traveling party didn't get to bed till about 4:35 o'clock this morning Eastern time after the Sunday night game in St. Louis. And a ground ball to short. Mercer picks it up, throws out Kemp. That ends the inning. No runs and 1 base hit. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. And the Dodgers lead it by 3. The Dodgers leading it 5-2 this year. The Dodgers, when they have a lead after 7, are merely 48-4. The Pirates, when trailing after 7, are 5-36. You gotta like the Dodgers' chances based on recent history. Miguel Rojas takes over at shortstop for Justin Turner. And Brian Wilson is on to make his 39th appearance of the year. Ryu goes 7, 2 runs and 5 hits, struck out 5, walked 1, 98 pitches, 66 for strikes. So Ryu, another solid performance. And if Wilson and presumably Jansen get their jobs done, Engine Ryu will improve his record to 11-5, and the Dodgers will go 11 games over 500. But they've got to find a way to get 6 more outs against the Pirate offense, beginning with their leadoff hitter Josh Harrison, who takes high and inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Harrison, Marte, and McCutchen. Dodgers are hoping to get Brian Wilson into a more consistent mode. Foul back and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's the way the bullpen is. It's kind of feast or famine. At the beginning of the year, everybody's talking about how these guys are going to have way too many innings, way too many appearances. Don Mattingly and Rick Honeycutt said that it'll balance out, and the starters started throwing more innings. And now it's they're looking for innings.
Hard ground ball, just foul.
Especially when everybody gets a mandatory and needed break, usually with the All-Star break. All of a sudden, it's like when you break camp and spring training, you want to get everybody kind of back in there and back in their rhythm.
Well, you remember in the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, the question was, this bullpen is getting taxed. They're working too hard. The starters weren't going deep into games. No small coincidence, that was about the time Kershaw was out with the back injury.
Exactly.
So that domino effect. Harrison takes outside.
And I still go back to that trip to Australia. I just don't think everybody was just quite as strong coming out of this spring training as you are in the years past because of that, of having to get ready so quickly. So that kind of pushed things back along with the Kershaw injury.
Yeah, you can get ready, but you can't build your endurance too quickly. You can be ready to perform, but endurance is only from constant long-term workload.
Sprinters don't suddenly become marathon runners.
Right. And a lot of times, I mean, as players, it's like, gosh, all those games at spring training, it's a long spring training, but it's to build that endurance up.
2-2 to Harrison, who is 0 for 3 tonight. Into right field, and it is a foul ball. A couple of feet from being a triple. At 6 inches away from extra base.
A lot of times a hitter hits a ball like that off you, and it was outside, and he still barreled it up and had some power. Next pitch, you don't think about coming in. You got a 3-run lead, so coming in is not as dangerous as if it was a 1-run game.
You're coming in because you think that he's leaking over the plate or that he's got the outside cover with your fastball.
Yeah, I would, if I felt good command of my fastball and my breaking ball, I'd go fastball in here about 6 inches off the plate. Don't worry about the 3-2 count, and I'd come back with a 3-2 slider.
Wilson pitched 2/3 of an inning last night, walked a batter. Into left center field, Crawford taking charge.
A nice pitch by Brian Wilson. He did come inside and wasn't really worried about just throwing a routine strike. He was going to push the ball in there. And a lot of times, you know, the hitters can think along with the pitcher the same, you know, all this is cultural and everybody knows what people are thinking. So a lot of times you throw it exactly kind of what the hitter is thinking, but you just put it in a tough place to hit, because then you know the hitter's going to get what he wants, but he's going to start the bat and then he's going to go, oh no, it's too far in.
Too far in, or maybe just a little bit too high that I couldn't barrel it up.
And Starling Marte takes a strike.
I absolutely love it when I know the hitter kind of is thinking along with me. Because if I can execute the pitch, usually I've got a really good chance of getting you out because I'm going to put it in a tough place to hit. Not against you, Nomar, but I'm talking about regular human beings.
That's what made it fun. That's the chess game that goes on out there. It's just not a matter of, okay, you bring your best up, I'm going to put my best swing or my best approach, and we'll see what happens. There's that chess piece going on. Say, okay, how are you trying to attack me? You know, am I just going to get a base hit? Am I trying to get that double? What's it going to take? Do I foul off tough pitches? Do I set up the pitch that I want you to eventually come at me with? That I feel stronger to attack him at bat? So that's what makes it fun.
That's us, and that's Brian Wilson. And it's 1-2 to Starling Marte, and Andrew McCutchen will follow. Well, Wilson retires the first 2 batters, striking out Marte.
You know, the way the broadcast has gone tonight and the involvement we've had from everybody, I think Yasiel Puig and Hanley Ramirez's name should be there on the graphic when it pops up the commentators.
But they had nothing to say.
That's true.
Well, you can put commentaries, us, and appearances by Yasiel and Hanley.
Trying to find a way to get announced. All we got to do is go down to Alana one more time, and they will be up and active.
That's just what he needs, a little more attention. McCutchen fouls it back. It's 0-1. Andrew McCutchen is 1 for 3 and has scored a run. Gabby Sanchez on deck. Bottom of the 7th, Giants still lead the Phillies 6-4. Cliff Lee's first start in a while, and they got puffed around pretty good. So Andrew McCutchen, who is merely the 2nd leading hitter in the league at .320. Takes a strike. And Wilson ahead 1-2. Dodgers will feel a whole lot better about themselves. Wilson in particular, if he can get an unblemished inning here in the 8th. And he's a strike away from doing it. Well, it's not going to happen. McCutchen with his 2nd hit of the night. Ike Davis is now going to pinch hit for Gabby Sanchez. A lefty-righty switch, the former Met.
And he has really struggled since coming over from New York. Really thought maybe the change of scenery would do him some good. He's had some spurts with the Mets and here, but nothing consistent.
And Don Mattingly's coming out. And he's going to take Brian Wilson back with him. And here's old reliable J.P. Howell, who finally got a win last night, facing 1 batter. Right now his job is to get Ike Davis with 2 on and 1 out in the bottom of the 8th, and the Dodgers leading by 3. day one, making his 46th appearance of the year, an ERA of 1 1/3, and opponents can't even hit 150 against him. One beard replaces another. Style points. Wallach merely needs a shave. Brian Wilson, that's a beard. That's a mini beard. And now here's J.P. Howell with home plate umpire Jeff Nelson, and they're taking care of his glove and
saying that the leather's a little too long and too loose, getting him to tighten it up.
Greg Harrell playing the role of Betsy Ross in this production.
See, they can ask you to tighten your glove, but they can't ask you to shorten your beard.
Got no chance on that.
With Wilson's, I think if you cut it, it just grows right back right away, like at a certain length. Cut it. Okay, here it is.
And there's the mildly bearded Ike Davis, who has had no success against lefties this year. Thus the arrival of J.P. Howell with 2 out in the bottom of the 8th, and the Dodgers leading at 5-2. There's a strike, 0-1. Ike's dad was a terrific relief pitcher in his day, Ron Davis. Twins and Yankees, among others. Dodgers have out-hit the Pirates 12-6, outscored them 5-2, and Davis lays off a breaking ball. 1-1. Ike Davis is 2 for 22 against left-handed pitchers, and has been struck out 10 of those 22 at-bats. And J.P. Howell has been murder against lefties or righties. Lefties are hitting 136 off Howell, who quickly gets ahead, 1-2.
It's interesting for me. We're playing behind. The Dodgers are playing behind McCutchen, and Ike Davis is at the plate. McCutchen would get thrown out. Ike Davis would probably end up hitting off of Kenley Jansen next inning, a right-hander, which he hits better off of. So, and if McCutchen gets to second base, he's in scoring position, and Ike Davis, who has not hit lefties very well, if he bloops one in or finds a hole, they get a run.
And I'm really surprised that Andrew McCutchen has not stolen second base. I mean, I'm going, why not go get to second base? If he gets a base hit, you score. Then there's a 2-run game. Then if you get out of the next inning, and you're like, that's a walk and a swing to tie the game up.
It's an easy verbal sign from Rick Sofield, the first base coach, when Adrian backs up.
Yep.
You say more. You know, when he more, go ahead, you can go.
Not going. And now 3-2, and Howell not in agreement with the call from crew chief and home plate umpire Jeff Nelson.
Take a look on strike zone. You could go either way. Jeff Nelson went with the ball part. JP always with a lot of motion and a lot of movement on the ball. It's not about velocity with him. It's about accuracy, movement, and deception.
Well, now McCutchen will go. D. Gordon will throw out Davis, and that is the reason the Dodgers brought in J.P. Howell. Not in agreement with Jeff Nelson, apparently. No runs and 1 hit will knows what tomorrow may bring? Well, Chevron does, and in all likelihood, Josh Beckett will come off the disabled list. A wounded hip, feeling better, and he'll be facing Vance Worley, once a Philly, and will be on the air tomorrow at a little past 4 o'clock Pacific time for that one. Ike Davis will take over at first base after he pinch hit for Gabby Sanchez. So the Dodgers are sitting pretty at the moment with a 3-run lead. They'll be facing Stolmy Pimentel, making his 13th appearance of the year. He'll be facing Ethier, Crawford, and Uribe. Top of the 8th in Philadelphia, the Giants continue to lead the Phillies 6-4. Milwaukee's beating Cincinnati 5-1. That's a game of great interest for the Pirates as Kenley Jansen gets ready for the bottom of the 9th. Walker, Martin, and Mercer will face him, but the Dodgers have some business to take care of here in the top half of the 9th. Ethier's 0 for 4. He's not gotten the ball out of the infield tonight. Fielder's choice produced a run back in the 3rd.
Let's see. 35 years. Yeah, well, I'll take one of the takes up there.
Ethier 249. So Wilson and Howell combined to shut down the Pirates in the 8th. Dodgers lead it by 3, looking for an insurance run or 2.
That's because you guys look at them most of the time. You know what I mean? You're not used to them right down the middle.
Well, the Dodgers offense that struggled into the All-Star break and the first couple of games out of the break. Last night came up with 4 runs and 11 hits, and tonight 5 runs and a dozen.
Starting rotation has been awesome, and if the offense can just be solid, where it shows up and gets them 4 or 5 runs a night, 3 to 5, and not a 10 spot, a 2 spot, a 0.
Into center field, McCutchen going back.
Because you really feel like the rotation is going to be consistent, and the bullpen is really shaping up, and the defense is solid. So if the offense can just be that same level, and the rotation led by that gentleman right there, if it's outstanding, you're going to win a lot of games.
For me, it's really if the offense. I have yet really see the offense when they really need that one run. If they, and they have time to figure that out. If they can do that because of this pitching staff, that'll really catapult them into a different level.
And that's what playoff baseball is going to be about. They're going to face the 1 and the 2 starter and maybe the 3. And they're going to face the 1, 2, and 3 guys in the bullpen with matchups correct. And they're going to face the best defenses, and the other team is going to have an offense that is trying to do the same thing that they're trying to accomplish.
Right. So it's going to be that situational hitting we preach so much. It's trying to figure out, okay, we're in a tight ball game in those late innings. You know, they haven't had that comeback win, you know, when trailing from the 7th inning on yet. They've only had 1 trailing from the 6th inning on this year. So those moments, because you're going to have that in the postseason.
If they can get that together, that's the last piece.
Adrian Gonzalez has had quite a night for himself. Dodgers hoping that Dan Herron can right his personal ship. He'll be pitching for the Dodgers on Wednesday. Crawford's done, 2 out.
Change up on the outside edge, maybe off the plate.
A flick of the wrist by Russell Martin. Now Uribe, who's 2 for 4. Slicing foul. Uribe, of course, missed nearly 6 weeks with that hamstring. But before and after the stint on the DL, he's just had a great year. 304 is what Uribe is at now.
There's a perfect example of what we see with him physically where things change. You know, 3-run lead, 2 out, 9th inning. I'm up. I'm going to guess a certain pitch. I'm going to swing as hard as I can. I don't get it, and I look stupid. But that's okay.
That's the time you're supposed to do it right there.
Well, we'll go to the bottom of the ninth. And Kenley Jansen is coming in with a 3-run lead. Jansen in search of his 29th save of the year. On to close it down. Jansen in search of his 29th save of the year. And Kenley, 28 out of 31. ERA slowly heading south. So too the opponent's batting average. And he'll be facing Neil Walker, Russell Martin, and Jordy Mercer with a 3-run lead to work with. Oral, from your point of view, what's been behind the steady re-emergence and resurgence of Kenley Jansen?
Well, I think he has always had the tools. He's had success. I think he went through a couple bumps in the road early in the year, and now he knows who he is completely as a pitcher and what he has to do. And he started to open up parts of his game, like pitching to the inner half, not just relying on cutters away or cutters into lefties. And actually then being a mystery sometimes, where every once in a while he's using his slider and using it effectively.
So Kenley Jansen, who was a catcher growing up in Curaçao and was a starting catcher for the Netherlands team in 2009 at the World Baseball Classic, facing Neil Walker here in the bottom of the ninth. Walker 1 for 3. He walked and scored a run tonight. First pitch, a strike at 93, and it's 0-1. Walker's just one of these really solid players. Switch hitter, taking outside. Mentioned earlier that Neil's dad was very close to Roberto Clemente. Fouled off the lefty down the plate. Tom Walker pitched in Montreal and Detroit and St. Louis and with the Angels, and was going to go on the Clemente plane. that horribly crashed. And it was on New Year's Eve. And Roberto said to Tom, stay home, stay with the family. One ball and 2 strikes. 2-2.
Little did Roberto know that he saved his life.
And he was on his way to save many more. Food supplies. Great Roberto Clemente, icon in this town. Last hit was exactly his 3,000th. Of course, nobody will ever wear 21 here ever again. The right field fence here in Pittsburgh is precisely 21 feet high. Two and two. Walker leading off the bottom of the 9th. And he's not making it easy on Kenley Jansen.
Well, we've just seen exactly what you talked about. Kenley going with 2 breaking balls back to back, which is something we have not seen from him over the course of this season. So now you're putting that in the hitter's head. So if you want to come back with that cutter, you can. Cutter in, cutter away, because now you might be off as hitter just a little bit because you're thinking of that off-speed pitch in the back of your mind.
The 7th pitch to the leadoff hitter Walker in the bottom of the 9th. Shatters the bat. Gonzalez flips to Jansen, covering, 1 out.
This is a combination of what we've been talking about, Nomar. This is just a shattered bat because he has to wait for 2 different speeds. Do I stay on the cutter and the firmness? Oh my God, it was that, and it was bearing in on my hands. Or do I have to stay back long enough for the breaking ball now that he's thrown me 2 in a row?
I hope Kenley is taking note of that, because that's what that pitch can do to lefties. That's what that pitch can do even to righties if you get it in there and not afraid to come in. You're going to, even if they make contact, you're going to shatter some bats.
So many people will say, you got to stick with that pitch. You got to throw that all the time. Well, no, it was set up by the other pitch.
First pitch to Russell Martin. He skies to right. Kemp is there, 2 out. So the Dodgers are 1 out away from going 11 games over 500. Giants have a 7-4 lead. Phillies hitting in the bottom of the 8th in Philadelphia. Now Jordy Mercer, who's 1 for 3. So Ryu, a terrific night tonight. 1 out away from his 11th win of the year. Strike, 0-1. Mercer's flied to right, single to right, and line to left. Tenth pitch of the inning from Jansen. There's a strike. How about a slider? So Jansen is doing exactly what you guys thought he might. So Mercer's now wondering what is he going to see on this 0-2 pitch. 95-mile-an-hour fastball is the answer.
With a 3-run lead and a 2-strike count and nobody on, I wouldn't mind him throwing a nice slow slider in the dirt right here just to set up the rest of the series. Put it in the back of the mind of the advanced scout for the Giants also, so that the Giants will think, what's he going to throw? Or you could just throw a 96 on the black and just intimidate everybody.
You should have got the call and didn't.
And missed by a millimeter.
This is an amazing pitch. Thrown perfectly. Absolutely perfect pitch that should have ended the game.
Jansen certainly thought so. You could tell by his body language.
He could throw any pitch he wants now, but I still want him to throw the slider to set up the rest of the series for him.
Here's the 1-2. There's the slider.
Perfect. Even though he fought it off.
Now you can come 96 again if you like.
Back-to-back sliders really sets up the whole series too, though. And the advanced scouts for the Giants are writing a book about Kenley and what you can get now.
One ball, 2 strikes. Bottom of the 9th. Mercer will not go quietly into this good night.
Kenley tried a quick pitch him there. He didn't even bring his hands together. He almost went like a windup as he was coming set and just released that ball to see if he can catch the hitter trying to time him and sleeping a little bit.
Pedro Alvarez on deck should Mercer keep the game alive. Here comes the 1-2. 2-2.
But good pitch selection again by A.J. Ellison Kenley to force Kenley to come inside, showing all the different quadrants, the different speeds, and he is capable of this. If he was a one-trick pony out there with a fastball split or something, but he's not. This guy can pitch in the 9th inning.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. It's now 3-2. Jansen has to forget about that pitch about 3 pitches ago.
And I was thinking the same thing, Charlie. I mean, it's hard because that was a perfect pitch that ended the game. That would have ended the game, and he didn't get it. And now he's almost like trying to be too perfect with the pitches rather than just let it go.
3-2 to Mercer. Dodgers beat the Cardinals last night 4-3. They lead it 5-2 with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th. Jansen set at the chest. To shortstop, Rojas throws out Mercer. The Dodgers hang on and win it 5-2. For the Dodgers, 5 runs, 12 hits, no errors. They left 11 men on base. For the Pirates, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left 5. Hyun-Jin Ryu in 7 innings wins his 11th against 5 losses. Edinson Falquez goes 5 2/3 and watches his record drop to 8 6. On a night when the Dodgers pounded out 12 base hits, and it was Adrian Gonzalez who had 3 of them. A double in the first, high off the wall. A single in the 4th. And after 2 walks, a double to right. So Adrian Gonzalez, who had the game-winning hit last night, had 3 more hits tonight. He was our Lexus player of the game. So that's a wrap for us from Pittsburgh. The Dodgers are a happy lot, improving their record to 56-45. For Alana Rizzo, Omar Oral, Hershiser, Nomar Garcia-Parra, and Charlie Stunner saying good night and goodbye. Stand by for Access Sportsnet Dodgers, brought to you by Hyundai. Next.